welcome to Thursday afternoon stream. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to be working... Sorry, I had to turn off my volume. I'm not going to be working on anything for conventions, commissions, any of that stuff. Today I'm going to be working on some baby quilts for gifts. I talked a little bit about it yesterday during my cat pillow stream. I have a friend of mine, friend of the family actually, who just had another baby, so I need to make them a baby quilt. And they have an older sibling that I never actually made a baby quilt for, so I've actually got to make two. So what I decided I'm going to do is they're huge OSU fans. Huge. Like really big OSU fans. So I'm going to make a baby quilt in OSU colors, which are red, white, and black. So what I decided to do is just a basic strip piecing quilt where I am going to just make blocks like this. And in fact, I'll show you up close over here. So they're just simple blocks that once I make them all, I'll decide how I want to arrange them. And I'm going to do double blocks. I'm going to make the same blocks for both quilts, but arrange it two different ways. And then that way they can decide which kid's going to get which quilt. So this is how you do some strip quilts. Now, I did some math. Sorry, I was checking my thing. I did a bunch of math to figure out how many blocks I need. The minimum measurements that I need for a baby quilt for the crib size is 36 inches by 42 inches, which is also lap size. So that would give me, with these blocks, they're about 5.5 inches squared. I need to make them, let's see, at least 7 blocks wide, which will give me 38.5 inches. Now the question is, do I go 8 blocks down or 9 blocks down? If I go 8 blocks down, it is 49? Sorry, I don't think I actually did my full math. If I do 9 blocks down, let's see, 9 times 5.5, it'll be 49.5 inches. If I do 8 blocks down, it'll be 44 inches. So they are both within reason. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep on making blocks. This right here is a stack of 10. So this is just a couple extras. So I will continue to make stacks of 10. And then when I get to 112 blocks, which is 2 quilts, 56 blocks per quilt, then I'll see how much fabric I have left to see if I have enough to make 126 blocks or if I'm going to go with 112 blocks. So that's the way I'm going to proceed. And this isn't a pattern at all. This is just me throwing a bunch of fabric together. I bought at fall market last year. I bought a jelly roll of a bunch of different blacks and a bunch of different whites from Pineapple Fabrics. And I've never found anything to use them with. So I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect thing to use it. And then I have a bunch of batik red and 2 different batik reds that I'm going to throw in between. So what I did, let me actually take it from this pile, is the way that the block works is I have the white, the black, and then 2 different reds. So the red that goes with the white is actually a different red than the one that goes with the black. People just keep wanting to message me during my streams. What's up with that? All right, so let's just get going. So all I did was I've got a bunch of different strips here. In fact, these all go together. These go here. So these are the reds that go with the black, and these are the reds that go with the white. Now I did cut up all the red that I have left for here. So I should find, I think that's the red, maybe. I'm just going to look around. I think this red is close enough. I'm going to blind you for a second with the cameras, just because I've got to make sure that this is the same red. Okay, it is. All right, so here's the red that I need. And I definitely have enough white and black, so I have tons. So all I do in order to make these blocks is I'm sewing these strips to this, and these strips to that. So here's a white and a red, and I'm just going to do them. So I've got 1, 2, 1, 2 for here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit and sew for a bit. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the black. 1, 2, 3. So I need to get a bunch. I need to cut a bunch more of those. Now I cut these whenever I initially did the strips. I wanted to have the strips thin enough to make it look good, so I can arrange it in different patterns, but thick enough that it wouldn't be super, super, super hard. So I cut them 1 1/4, right? Yes, they're 1 1/4 inches wide. And how I decided on that, honestly, is a jelly roll is a bunch of strips that are 2 1/2 inches. So all I'm doing is taking these jelly roll strips and cutting them in half, because I didn't want this to be the thickness of my strips. I wanted it smaller than that, so I cut them all in half. That's it. So I cut all the jelly rolls in half, and I cut all that in half. Okay, so let's cut a bunch more fabrics, and then I can start sewing. Oops, I don't think I need much of those. So sew these, and where is my roller? Oops, there it is. I was working on this when I was at my Maryland house. Last time I was down there. There we go. Now, this person that I am giving these quilts to has no clue I'm giving them quilts, because I didn't give them a quilt the first time they had a baby. So with my friends, I joke all the time that the only reason why they have kids or get married is because they want me to give them quilts. But 50% of the time, I don't give them anything because I don't have time and I'm too busy. So I figured because I didn't give him anything for the first kid, I've got to give him something now for this kid. And I'm just going to continue to cut 1 1/4 inch strips until I finish through here. Oh, and of course I've got the kitty cam set up again. I decided to move it because I wanted to make sure that you guys could see what I'm doing at all times. Depending upon the project, I may expand the camera for here, like I did before, just so you can see clearer. But for stuff like this, it's not super important that you see all the detail. If I need to show you detail, I'll show you in that camera over there by the ironing board. And I'm just going to keep cutting strips until I run out of room. Now, I do not think I'm going to get this done today. This may be something that I'm constantly working on for the next few months. My goal is to try to get it done within the next 2 weeks. But that doesn't always happen. Go. Right, so I need some more white and some more black. Oh, that's a half piece. Yeah. The small pieces I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to make sure I have a big strip of it. There we go. There's a strip. There's a bunch of, there's 1, 2, 3 strips. Let's make sure it's perfectly good. Okay. It all lines up. So 1 1/4. Now, whenever I line this up to cut it, I'm lining it up just inside these scalloped edges. So I'm not lining it up at the edge of the scalloped, because whenever you get a jelly roll, if they have the scalloped edges on the end, that's to prevent fraying and preserve the life of the fabric. So they actually do the measurement just inside the scallop, so the 2 1/2 inches is from edge to edge, not necessarily from the very, very fringy edge to the very, very fringy edge. So I'm ignoring the fringe. Okay, I think 6 may be too many. I mean, 3. 1, 2, 3 strips. Yep. So I wanted to actually do fewer than that. I'd probably do 2 strips instead of 3. So let's find where, there we go. 1, 2. So the biggest thing is running out of fabric for my jelly roll. I do not want to run out of fabric for my jelly roll. That is the nice thing about cutting these strips. Yep, 4 is perfect. Is I am at the mercy of the jelly roll itself with how many fabrics I have. Now the nice thing about these pineapple fabrics is the jelly roll has all sorts of different whites and blacks. It's basically all the whites in their collection and all the blacks in their collections. It's pretty cool. There we are, just making sure it's perfectly lined up. There we go. And I think I'm good for now. Okay, so I have the 2. Here's the one I'm cutting for that. Oh, are these the half ones? They are, aren't they? I don't want to do the half ones. Yeah. Let me get rid of those. I'll put those in my scraps. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you may be getting some of those. Here's another one I don't want to use. What was I thinking? There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. There's another one that's not completely. So some of these I took from my scraps, so they're not complete strips. And I thought, oh, well, if that's all I have, it's not a big deal. Kind of is, though. I'm gonna have to cut new fabrics. I think I thought that I didn't have full strips of this. There we are. Alright, so I have 1. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut some more of this. 2. You know what I love is whenever I have a project that I'm working on and I put it away for a while, and when I go to pull it back out again, I don't know where I have left off. So it takes time to figure out where I am in the process. Oops, that's all scraps. Because I used to collect all my scraps inside my fabric, so that shows how long that I haven't used this fabric, because it's been at least 8 months. But now I take all scraps and I toss them into a big bin that's under here. You can actually see a little bit of it in the picture. In the big bin of scraps, I do a couple different things. I send out scraps to Patreon followers, to Patreon supporters, to my patrons. And then I also take it with me to classes. So whenever I'm teaching a sewing class, I let people go through all of my scraps and pick out any of the fabrics that they want. Alright, so let's cut a bunch more of these strips. Oh, and then they're probably not following me yet, but whenever I was not streaming before I started, Razor Dawn followed me, so I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate the follow. And just like with the other red, I am just going to continue to cut strips all the way down until I would have to flip it open to access more strips. While I am doing this, I was going to tell you a story, but I'll wait. Story times are good for while I'm sewing. Especially when I'm sewing this stuff, because I will be sewing long strips at the same time. Alright, let's move that over. Alright, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do 10 at a time. So, here's 1, 2, because I already have 2 over here, so that I'll do actually 12 at a time as I continue on. 1, 2, oops. I hope if I fold it in the right place. 3. Now, I'm not going to iron these open yet. I will do that after I sew it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and the white gets added to that black one. Sorry, I'm just rearranging my area. It's weird. It shut down so I couldn't see the chat. Okay, so I'm doing 10. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now at this point, now I cut them all together, so at this point is when I'm separating it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so I need to cut some more black. 8, because I need 2 more blacks to keep going. Don't need my pen. Move that over here. Actually move it down from here. 1, 2. And in fact, I'm going to cut them like this. That way I don't have to separate them. There we go. And 1 1/4. Oh. Oh, nope, that's trash. That's not big enough for scraps. I cut it 1 1/2. So I just wasted half of it, but that's okay. I can still use this other half. Okay, so 1, 2, 9, 10. Fantastic. Now, step 1, cut your fabrics. Step 2, sew your fabrics. Now I am using my 1/4 inch piecing foot. A 1/4 inch piecing foot just means it's a 1/4 inch, and this little guide that's right here actually helps guide it. So when I do the fabric, I'm going to sew my fabric right along this little guide right here, and what that's going to do is it's going to give me a perfect 1/4 inch. I do not have to measure anything. I do not have to look at my machine. I don't have to do any of that. All I have to do is have the fabric touch that piece of metal, and I've got a 1/4 inch. And because I'm sewing strips, I do not have to worry about pinning. Whenever you're stripping for quilting and sewing, you always want to make sure, I'm looking at the right side of my white fabric, making sure I've got the right side facing the red. The red is a batik. There is no right side or wrong side to batiks. There we go. Oops. And scrap. So you always have to have the right side facing the batik. So yeah, so with the 1/4 inch piecing foot, I don't have to worry about any measurements. All I do is go, and I don't have to use any pins, because all I'm doing is feeding it through. Now, when I've got my fabric, this is how I hold my fabric to go faster for the stripping. I take my hand, I put my finger between these two fabrics, my thumb goes on top, and the rest of my fingers go on the bottom. And what that does, as it's going, is I'm able to move this top fabric to make sure as it's entering the sewing machine, those two fabrics line up perfectly. Now in this case, I'm sewing that scalloped edge first, and I'm lining it up based upon the left-hand side, not the right like you normally do, because I have that scalloped edge. So I'm following along with the bottom fabric. So the bottom fabric is the one that I want to touch the guide, because those scallops are actually going underneath the guide. As long as I know my fabrics on the left are lining up, on the right, I'm sewing a perfect 1/4 inch. Let's move this over just a touch more. There we go. Oops. Okay, I was afraid that it broke the fabric. Okay, so here's my right side is the front. And seriously, this is all I'm going to do for like 15-20 minutes is sit and sew together these strips. It is super boring. Okay, so making sure that I am doing this. Now, the nice thing about these fabrics, there are some with flowers, there's some with geometric designs. One of the kids is a boy. Doesn't matter that I'm including flower fabrics, because I've cut it down small enough, you're not even going to notice that the design on the fabric is a flower. So there is a saying in the quilt world, if you don't like the pattern that's on the fabric, so if you don't like the design, the pattern, anything that's on the fabric, but you like the color, just cut it down small enough so you can't see the pattern, and then use the fabric for the color. Almost every fabric can be used for something. So you don't have, if you have a fabric, you don't like the design on it, don't throw it away, don't give it away, don't, cut it down so you can't see that pattern, cut it down small enough, and then use it for something. Alright. Oh, I'll go this way. I want my white on top. Now, the reason why I'm putting the white on top is because I want to make sure that I see that scalloped edge at all times. So I want to make sure that I'm sewing it with the correct seam allowance. And you notice how I'm not separating any of the strips after I sew them. I'm just continuing to go. I'm chain piecing. I'm continuing to go, 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 go. Go. Just making sure it's, yeah, and like I said, this is boring. Once I get to the next step, so this is step number 2. There are 2 more steps. And then you've got the blocks. And this is a super, super easy way to just throw a quilt together. Like, this is one of those things where even if you don't know how to use a sewing machine, it's a great beginner project to just sew the strips together. So if you want to learn how to use a rotary cutter and straight edge, or even using strips on a machine cutter, like Sizzix. This would be a great thing to practice on, is making strips. And then be a great thing to practice on your sewing machine to pop it in. It's hard with these fabrics sometimes to tell what the right side and what the wrong side is, but I do eventually figure it out. Oh yeah, let me text the kid and see if she wants to help at all today. I just keep checking chat just to make sure. In case you guys decide not to be quiet anymore. I think on my stream yesterday, yeah, today's Thursday. Yeah, my stream yesterday, I think I had 2 whole sentences in chat. Sometimes my chat's quiet. Yeah, and I didn't count out any of these strips for, you know, how many blocks I'm going to get per strip. I'm not worried about any of that stuff yet because I need over 100 blocks. I have 14. have a general idea of the two different ways that I want to lay these blocks out. But I haven't quite decided yet because I'm going to wait until I have them all, and then I'm going to lay them out on my table back here and play with them. Maybe get some opinions of how you think I should do it. Just making sure this design is all dots. And also, by sewing the scalloped edge first, I don't have to worry about it whenever I'm attaching this to the next piece. Because that's the trick, is that we're going to iron all of these open. And then we're going to sew these to the block pieces. And then sew 2 of those together, so we have 8 strips. And then we'll cut all our blocks. Alright, so I guess story time, because I'm going to be doing this for a while. I mentioned last week that my husband had an accident in a truck. So I finally heard back from insurance. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Wait, okay, it's making sure I had their equal number of strips, and they are. Finally heard back from insurance. They are fixing the truck. They're not going to total it. And it should be ready by August the 2nd. So, in the meantime, I have a rental truck. And a little bit bigger than mine. Mine's an F-150. I really like my truck. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't know I was a truck girl until I had a truck. I love my truck so much. Like, I've never owned a truck before. I've never really driven a truck before. And I had to get one to pull my trailer for shows, conventions. My poor little car was not holding up, is not doing its job anymore. It was getting way too heavy with all those grid balls. So the rental truck that got me in is a 250. A little bit too much truck for me, I think. It's a little bit too big, maybe? I don't know. It's different. It is a lot bigger than what I'm used to. And I'm going to be in Hamilton this weekend for Con Bravo. So I've got to measure... Oops, I ran out of bobbin thread. Yeah, bobbin thread for here. Oops. How far back was it? Wow, that's really far back. Oh man, it's all the way back there? I thought it ran out, but it looked like it kept on sewing. There it is. That's weird. I've never had that happen before. It's so weird. So yeah, bobbin thread running out in this case doesn't make a difference because I'm just doing strips. So I'm actually using up a bunch of my small ones so that when it runs out, I'll just pop another bobbin in. There we go. Yeah, so I have to measure the height of this truck. I have to make sure it's not taller than my trailer, because if it's taller than the trailer, it's not going to fit in the underground parking garage I normally park at. In that case, I need to find an open lot to park for the entire weekend. So I've got to do that tonight. I still have a whole bunch of dice bags I've got to sew up. Every now and then I'm just going to double check that bobbin because I continue to sew and it was so weird. Yeah, so this weekend, like I said, is Con Bravo. Con Bravo is considered to be a geek, just a regular geeky convention. I look at it as more of a YouTube video game convention because a lot of the guests that they bring in are YouTubers or voice actors. And whether they voice act in TV or a video game, although lots of voice actors do both. So that's why, even though they say an all-around overall geeky convention, I consider it YouTube video game convention. It's a lot of fun. It is, I get to see my friends that I haven't seen for a long time. I only do 2 conventions in Ontario each year. That one, and then of course my local Forest City Comic Con, that's my local convention here in London. Everything else I do is in the States. Unless of course another convention wants to bring me in as a guest, then I definitely do more. Alright, so I've got all of the red and whites done, so now red and blacks. Same thing I'm going to do, this is, for this one, there's also no right and wrong side because it's a batik. And the blacks, it'll be easier for me to tell what the right side and the wrong side is. So this actually may go just a touch faster than the whites did, because I don't have to worry about, do I have the right side? There you go. Didn't want to get started. Yeah, so this weekend should be a lot of fun. Alright, still have bobbin thread. I'm like, has it run out yet? Because I put a short one in there. Oh, before I forget, I do want to trim between the 2 sets. There we go. So here's all of my black, all of my red and whites. And that time it did run out. Didn't get too far at least. Not like last time. Now I am using an off-white neutral color because I don't want the thread to show through. You know, I think this is the first time I've done Con Bravo. I'm actually not doing any panels. I'm not teaching any classes. I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is showing up. And selling quilts, pillows, dice bags, and patterns. Now, of course, at Gen Con, in 3 weeks, I will be doing all of that, plus teaching a bunch of sewing classes. So when I'm not streaming, if I'm doing stuff like this where I'm just sewing strips together, I will actually change it up a little bit and sew a bunch of strips, go do something else. Sew a bunch of strips, go do something else. Because sitting here just sewing strips over and over and over could get a little boring. Alright, my bum's starting to get a little sore, so I'm going to stand and start working on this stuff. First thing, I'm going to separate all the strips. Whenever you're sewing for long periods of time, you always want to try to mix it up a little bit. So stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. That's not good. My seams are off. Looks like the bottom is way too tight. Yeah, I'm gonna have to resew all these. That's not good. I see where it started. Alright, I have a small problem and I wasn't checking my seams. So I will show you guys what's happened in a moment. I'm gonna have to resew all this stuff. That sucks. Okay. Alright, so what has happened whenever I've gone to sew, just now I was checking it and I saw, okay, this is what I saw from the top, and you can't really see it. You'll be able to see the other side though. This looks like a normal regular seam. But then I looked at the opposite side, and you can kind of tell how it's raised. It's not a good seam at all. And then as I was cutting it, I saw this. That's nesting. That means that there's a major problem with my tension. And you can actually see the thread looping up, so it's having issues. That's not good, because all I have to do is pull a thread. You see how it's coming out right away? That's not good at all. So I've got to re-sew all of this stuff that I excuse me, just did. But I'm going to do the blacks first, because I want to make sure that I get a good seam on them. Alright, so how I'm going to fix this. First thing, I am re-threading my machine. Yeah, something's caught in there. So I'm going to completely re-thread my machine and see if that is one of the problems. And I'm pulling it just to make sure the tension is good, and it is. Now, I've changed my bobbin a few times, so I know it's not the actual bobbin itself, because I've had 3 or 4 bobbins in there. I hate whenever that happens and I don't catch it until I'm halfway through. Okay, so I'm going to use my scrap. Okay, that looks good on the top. It looks good on the bottom. That was it. It was just I had to rethread my upper thread. If I would have figured that a while ago, I would have saved myself, let's see, how long have I been streaming? 48 minutes. I would have saved myself 30 minutes of work. I'm going to have to redo all this stuff. Lovely. Now I am going to do a new strip. Not one of the old ones. That way I can check it. Just to make sure that the tensions on my thread are good. Alright. Yeah. Seriously, Tony. Why do you do this stuff to yourself? Check the tension. See, I know I'm really good at checking tension. You see me all the time, looking back and forth, making sure it's good. I'm glad I stopped when I did, and I did completely finish all these strips. Now, for the ones I'm redoing, I'm not going to seam rip the existing ones. I'm just going to sew right on top of it. As long as I don't underdo the seam, and I at least equal the seam, it'll be fine. Just another layer of thread. So here is, now I do want to separate all the blacks. So all I'm doing is taking the existing one and popping it in. Yeah, and now I've got a good seam. And I'm just making sure it's at least equaling the thread. So I'm watching the thread as I sew, not the seam, because it's already been sewed together, so I know the seam is good. So I'm watching the thread that I previously sewed and just sewing directly on top of it. Seriously, why do I do this stuff to myself? You think I would know better by now. sewn together. I don't have to worry about lining it up and making sure everything's good. I'm just following along the thread. I'm annoyed with myself. Because I am all about efficiency and time, and I just wasted a bunch of it. So yeah, so fixing, nesting, fixing seams like that, if your tension is not correct, the ways that you can fix it. So first of all, change your bobbin, rethread the top thread, just like what I did. If that didn't work, the next step, if that didn't work in fixing my tension, the next step would have been to change my needle. If that didn't work, I would have taken the machine apart underneath where the bobbin case is and cleaned it all out. Because it could be something underneath. And now this is assuming that the tension was right to begin with. And it was, because I used this machine yesterday for the cat stuff, and it was perfectly fine. So I know my tension. I don't have to adjust the top, I don't have to adjust the bobbin case. I know the tension is fine. So something else was causing the tension to change. Now after I cleaned the underneath, if the tension still wasn't good, well at that point I give it up and I take it into the shop and have them take a look at it to clean it and figure out if there's anything else going on. Like maybe something broke on the inside, or maybe up here needs to be cleaned. You know, something else that I don't have the ability to take care of. And luckily I have 10 of these machines, so I would just switch that with another one. And so on another one until that one was fixed. Oh, hi Cornish Miss Saucy. Oh, fantastic. So you are the one that commented on the doggy kitty cam. Thanks for popping in. I was just complaining because for the first 30 minutes of my stream, I basically sewed these strips. Well, then after my bum hurt for a bit, I'm like, okay, let me stand and do something else, and I realized my tension was off. I have to redo everything. So yeah, I'm not very happy with myself. So I was just giving some advice and some different things of what you can do whenever your tension is off to fix it. And then now, every now and then, I'm going to be checking my tension just to make sure it's good. Thank you. I know, look at all these cameras. I got 4 cameras going at the same time. I figured that upper space right there, I didn't like using it for just, you know, shout outs for follows and subs and donations. I wanted to actually utilize that little space. So that space in the upper left is going to be my kitty or doggy cam from now on. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and make sure I saw that you saw the weighted blanket stream, make sure that whenever you go to the end, of how I did the folding over part at the end, make sure you do that first. And then whenever you do the actual very, very ending, like I said in the actual stream, I felt that putting the pins in there to hold it was really good. And no one even thought of that in any of the tutorials that I saw. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they must be pinning it and doing it right here at their machine and then immediately putting it in their machine, because taking it from here to here, those poly pellets are going to fall out. Like, something is going to happen. I have to pin this thing. Scratching my head going, why? Huh? I know, it all comes together, right? You're like, wait, what are you doing? The biggest key with that the pre-work that I did of drawing all those lines and sewing along those lines, that's important. And sewing those lines all the way down so you have those columns so they don't go sliding around, that's the other important thing. Your face when you realize that I know. Okay, so, see, and you have watched me enough to know that there are two reasons that I stream. The first reason is I want to encourage people to sew. And especially quilt, because it's not just for your grandmother. It's not just, a lost art that, you're making general quilts kind of thing. No. I want people to make geeky quilts. I want people to quilt. That's the first reason. Second reason I stream. I don't want anyone to think that they can't sew because they would make mistakes. I made a mistake today, a 30-minute mistake. People make mistakes. It happens. And thank you. Thank you for the compliment of my enthusiasm. I mean, mistakes happen. That's how you learn. Everyone makes mistakes, so yeah. No, I still can't believe I sewed. Like, I was very careful to make sure that I was sewing it. And I was sewing down and I was like, why is this all the way at the end? I started at the right... Oh. No, I didn't start the right side. So, speaking of enthusiasm, I have been playing a lot of Splatoon 2. Like, the whole reason... because I yell at them and I beat them and I abuse them. Is that why you feel sorry for my machines? So the reason why my husband bought me the Switch for our anniversary is because I really, really, really wanted to play Splatoon 2. And it was worth the wait. I love that game. Like, I'm dreaming. You know how when you get obsessed with something and you start dreaming about it? Yeah, I'm dreaming about Splatoon 2. Like, all I want to do is play that game. That's all I can think about is playing that game. And that's all I want to do. Like, seriously, I'm obsessed. So I was thinking the other day... Stop a full throttle. Yes! So I was thinking the other day that, you know what? I should just get an external card. I should set it up to where I could stream me playing Splatoon 2 on Twitch. And then yesterday I was thinking about it more. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could, because I think it would be counterproductive to my sewing streams. Because when I play Splatoon 2, I'm very, very animated. I would probably only be in the camera, for little, the camera that's on my face. I'd probably only be in that frame maybe half the time. Because I'm the kind, okay, let me finish before you tell me to stream it. So, I am the kind of person, whenever I'm playing my games, I go this, I go there, I go forward, and I throw my arms, and I can't help it. Like, that's, like, I've done this since I first got my Intellivision. Yeah, dating myself again. The Intellivision. We didn't get the Atari. We got the Intellivision was my first one. And I would play, and my favorite game was Burger Time. And we would sit and play that for hours and hours. And I would jump and move. And I've done it ever since I was a little kid. And I don't know what it is. I have to move with the character. So the other reason I don't think it would be good, and it may be counterproductive, I swear a lot when I play. Like, F this and F that and GD this and oh my gosh. So I told this to my husband. You refuse VR? Yes, no, I don't think I don't think I can ever do VR. So I told this to my husband because he's been looking into the costs of getting all of the extra equipment that we would need to stream the Switch. And he says, well, just don't swear. I'm like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I cannot swear. And that's the whole thing with my stream, is with my sewing stream, is I don't want swearing, I don't want, inappropriate comments, or any of that stuff, because oh yeah, see, I have to resew all of this. I want to encourage all of the kids that I teach to come and watch my streams. So what am I going to do? Tell them don't watch my Splatoon? Or maybe I could send them to the YouTube, and I won't upload my Splatoon ones to YouTube, just the sewing. I don't know. But yeah, no, I definitely could not do VR. I think it'd be very dangerous for me, and I would break the VR headset. But my husband really, really wants me to stream because he thinks that I would get like double the amount of followers that I have right now in just one stream, just because of how I am. He's like, people have to see this. I'm like, seriously, the whole time I sit and play, Jordan and my husband will sit and laugh at me and make fun of me to each other. Like, it's, yeah. I scare my dogs. Like, they can't be near me. Okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to trim all this, and I'm going to sew all these open. These are trimmed, right? Yep. So yeah, so I may start streaming Splatoon 2. If it happens, it won't be for at least a week. And then if I do, I'm going to have to experiment with my laptop for the power of it to see if I can do it whenever I'm traveling. You think I saw that, you said that before, you think the world needs to see this. Yeah. See, and I can't just do it one time just to try it out, because the equipment that I need in order to stream from the Switch costs about $250. So it's not a cheap investment. Now, if someone donated $250, I'd be all like, okay, well, I guess I gotta do it. But, yeah. So that's the thing that we're looking at right now, is the costs and everything else. Okay, yeah, so back to what I'm doing. I am making baby quilts. So I have a friend of mine. Oh, I've got to heat that up. I'll explain it while it's heating up. I've got a friend of mine that just had another baby. They have now 2 kids. I did not make them a baby quilt the first time that they had a baby, so I have to make 2 quilts. They're big OSU fans, Ohio State University. So I decided I'm going to do the baby quilt in red, black, and white. So I'm just doing a super easy, basic strip piecing quilt. So I found all of my old strips. These are a jelly roll. So I bought 2 jelly rolls from Pineapple Fabrics at Spring Market. No, Fall Market. Yeah, it was last October. Fall Market from Pineapple Fabrics. One was all blacks and one was all whites. So I just pulled those, and I was looking at the strips going, you know, these are really nice strips. I really like these strips. But I don't want my strip in the quilt to be this thick. I don't want it to be a lazy. I want to do something exciting. So what I did is I took it and I said, oh, strips are 2.5 inches wide. Why don't I cut these in half? So that's what I did. I cut them in half. I found 2 different batiks that I liked, and I'm alternating them with the strips. So I've got a 1.25 inch wide strip that actually will go down to 3/4 of an inch after the seams. So it's going to go red, black, red, white, red, black, red, white. And then once I get at least, where's my notes? Oh, it's right here. Once I get at least 112 blocks, that's for 2 quilts, then I'll go ahead and start arranging and deciding how I want to do it. You just mentioned you're gonna make a quilt, and then all of a sudden you get 2 orders. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and this is something that's super easy. So all I'm doing is, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do it towards the batik because that's gonna be easier to iron. All I'm literally doing is sewing strips together, ironing, sewing strips together, ironing. And then once I get it all done, then I will rotary cut it together. I will rotary cut into the blocks. So this is all I'm doing. After I iron these, I will then finish the black and white. And I haven't even counted to see how many strips I need. I'm just going to keep on cutting and keep on going until I have at least 100 blocks. And then at that point, I'll do the math to figure out how much more I need. Because when you're dealing with large numbers, like over 100 blocks, it can get very daunting of how many strips you need. And then you've got to constantly be counting to make sure that you've got the right count and blah, blah. You know what? Make it easy on yourself and just start doing it and worry about it as you get close to the end. So this stack right here is 10 blocks. So I think I've got like 14 blocks done so far. So I did 12, I cut 12 strips of each. Because they're going to, the black and red is going to get sewn to the white and red. And then 2 of those combos will be sewed together. And then I'll cut my blocks. And I was saying earlier, this is one of those things where you want to constantly stand up, sit down, because you don't want to sit down for too long, and you don't want to stand up for too long. Yeah, I really like the look of the black and red and the white and red. And I really like these jelly roll combos that I got from Pineapple Fabrics because every single strip is a different fabric. So I'm actually incorporating a ton of different blacks and whites into the same quilt. And a lot of the fabrics have flowers on them. And these quilts, at least one of the quilts is for a boy. And it actually does not make a difference that it's for a boy and it's got flowers on it because I've cut the strips small enough, you can't really make out that it's a flower. And you may notice I am not ironing my seams open. I decided to iron them towards the red because the red is a batik. The black is a stiffer fabric, so it actually has less resistance being ironed towards the red. There are two different trains of thought when it comes to your seams. The one is iron them open, and that way it's always equal and you don't have weird bulk on the back of your top. The other is to iron them in one direction. And I personally like ironing my seams in one direction because A, it's easier. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A, it's easier. And B, I feel that when you iron seams open, sometimes it can actually weaken your seam. And you're less likely to see the thread that you chose when you iron it to one side. Alright, so that should be 12. Alright, and now one of these, I don't know which one, I sewed previously at my Maryland address. Oh, I think it's this one. Yes. This single one does not need to be re-sewn. Everything else does because my tension was off. I just think I'd be doing the next step by now if I didn't screw up my tension. So yes, I've got to do a bunch of research and find out if I can get the hardware that I need to stream from the Switch at a decent price. And then I've got to figure out, can I do it from the laptop so I can do that while I travel? And I said before, I am not taking the thread out of this. I'm not seam ripping any of these seams that are not good. I'm just sewing right on top of it. As long as I sew directly on top or just to the left of the thread, those bad seams, the bad tension for the thread is not going to make a difference. Again, saving time, and it's easier. Now, you probably can't really tell, but I'm actually pushing down on the fabric because the bad tension, it's actually starting to bunch up a little bit. So I'm pushing it down to make sure I have a nice flat seam for when I'm sewing it the second time. Because that bad tension in the thread actually caused the fabric to bunch a little. So I'm making sure that does not happen the second go round. Normally you don't push down on the fabric, but in this case I need to. So before my stream, I was actually watching Nerd and Needle. She is making an apron right now for commission. Oh, so yeah, so I've got, because this is something different that I'm doing, I have a slideshow of quilts that I've previously made. So the babies looking to the left and the right, that was for a commission 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years ago. It was a couple that were expecting 2 girls. They were twin girls. And the mother was a Zelda freak, and the father was a Mario freak. And so they decided they were going to design the baby room, half of it in Legend of Zelda, and the other half in Mario. So they actually had levels painted on the walls and the beds. It was so super cool. So the babies that are facing to the left and right are artistic representations of a baby Peach and a baby Zelda. So next time it comes around, if you look at it, the baby Zelda actually has a little Triforce crown. A little Triforce in the crown. That was the very, very first time, actually, that I had ever done a quilt using original sprites. And I didn't base it off of existing in-game stuff. Yeah, see, oh no, I'm sorry, it's on her bib. So on the bib, it actually just popped by. So the baby Zelda, on the bib I have a little Triforce. Oh, that sucks that the stream stopped for you. Okay, so the mother was a Zelda fan, the father was a Mario fan, and they did the baby room half in Zelda, half in Mario for the levels of everything. So they wanted the 2 quilts to match with what the room was going to be for each girl. So it is a baby Princess Peach and a baby Princess Zelda. And they have them facing each other, so then that way that when they were laid on the cribs, you could actually have the 2 girls facing each other for the 2 quilts. And if you look at when it pops back around again, the baby Princess Zelda has got a Triforce in the bib. Yeah, and that was the very first time that I did quilts based on original sprites that I actually sat and created. So I actually sat and did pixel by pixel to try to work something out instead of doing something from in-game. So because of those quilts, I learned that, oh hey, I can make quilts for something else and not based just upon games. I really, really, really like quilts that challenge me. They give me something new to do. When it pops around, the dragon one, the one with the dragon and the UFO in the book, that was a quilt from my Indiegogo campaign after my big theft. And I was trying to get back on my feet after the theft. In the Indiegogo campaign, whenever she pledged, she contacted me and said, Well, I want a quilt with a dragon that's coming out of a book and a UFO in the background because it has this representation of this, 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 and this to me. And if possible, stained glass. And I went, you know I'm a pixel quilter, right? And she said, well, if you can't do the stained glass, that's fine, but if you can fit all these things in, that's what I would like. And I went, okay. And maybe a couple of weeks after she said that, and I'm trying to think how I can do this, what I can do, I was able to take a class on how to do stained glass technique for quilting. And it was awesome. As soon as I took the class, I went, oh yeah, we can do this. So I went to Nicole, who does all of my designs now, and I said, can you draw something out with this, this, and this? And you draw it like this. And I explained to her how I do the stained glass, and she goes, yeah, I can do that. So she drew it out, we sent it to her, she loved it, and then I made the quilt. So it's, yeah, I love stuff that gives me new skills and challenges. I think I included the dragon one at least. I think it's in there. I was trying to think of what I could put in that little spot when I don't have a sponsor for a stream and I'm not working on something that I've done before or have a pattern for that I can, either put the finished thing or put the pattern of what it's going to look like. And I'm like, why don't I just do a slideshow of my quilts? Gives you something to look at. Hi, Soleil. She doesn't want me. I think it's a little warm upstairs because the dogs are all coming down here and it's nice and cool down here. Well, I just saw Nerd and Needle just finished her stream. I wonder how her apron turned out. Nerd and Needle is another person that does conventions. She does a lot of embroidery work with like dice bags and things like that, and her stuff is so cool. Like when I see she's going to be at a convention that I'm going to be at, I don't even worry about making any additional dice bags to what I got because hers are so much better than mine. And it's honestly, if someone will come over and they go, I'm deciding between your dice bag and her dice bag over there, I'll say, yeah, go buy hers. Because mine are afterthoughts. Mine are, I make them with the scraps from the pillows. She puts time and thought and design into her dice bags. They're so freaking cool. I'm done with the red and white. Woo! Alright, so let's see. I need to go this way, so it'll be red, black, and then white, black. Let me trim all of these to get ready for ironing. Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you don't know how to use a sewing machine, or you don't know how to use a rotary cutter and straight edge, or you don't know how to use a die cutting machine like Sizzix, and you want to learn for stripping, this is a fantastic project to learn those things with. So you just do it over and over and over and over. Oh, that's funny. The stream froze for you, and it came back and it had a demon-like look. That's awesome. I gotta drink some coffee now. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Yeah, so like I was saying, this is a super, super easy project in that all you're doing is sewing the strips together and then cutting the blocks. And that is it. There is no way I'm going to get these done in this stream. But I promise you, when I get all of my blocks done, I will assemble them on a stream so you can A, give me input to how you think I should assemble them, and B, show you what I'm doing. Still think that's funny. Demon-like look. I make some of the weirdest faces. Like, it's, I don't think I've ever told this story. So, when I first started doing conventions, I talk a lot. I don't know if you've noticed. I talk a lot. And when I started doing conventions, all of a sudden I would see all of these pictures pop up online of my quilts and of me and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Except all the pictures, I was like this. Because they would take a picture while I was talking, and my mouth goes so big when I talk, because I did acting for a few years, so I'm really conscientious of enunciating. So I open my mouth to enunciate, and I'm like, why is my mouth always open? I have to do something. So if you're ever at a convention with me, and I'm talking to you, and all of a sudden, I stop talking, close my mouth, and smile, it's because there's a camera pointed at me. I learned my lesson. Now, if I do stream from my Switch, I'll probably have to do it down here instead of upstairs. And I'll have to do 2 different streams, one from my main computer and then one from my laptop to see if I can do it while I'm on the road. That'd be nice. At the end of each evening while I'm on the road, have a quick stream playing a couple of rounds of Splatoon. I am not good at that game, but I love it a lot. Oops, I need more water. Oh, and before I forget, I just saw not only are 4-day passes for Gen Con sold out, but Friday and Saturday are now sold out. No, I'm sorry, Saturday and Sunday are now sold out for Gen Con. So if you wanted to go to Gen Con, your only options now are Thursday and Friday single day tickets. And you want to get going on that. I still have availability in most of my classes, except my Saturday morning 9 a.m. class is all sold out. So if you want to learn some English paper piecing, some hand sewing, and you're going to Gen Con, check my classes out. We are going to have some fun. I'm going to bring my big old bag of scraps down there for my general paper piecing classes, and you can basically make a bunch of flowers out of any of my fabrics you like. And then in my Catan classes, of course, we will be making a miniature Catan art quilt. Two more of these. And then I get to start sewing them together. For the red and the white and the black and the white. Now, normally this wouldn't take that long to get to this stage. But of course I had that tension issue and I had those problems. Last one. Well, it is almost time for me to get a new iron cover. This one is starting to show wear. There we go. Okay, so I've got my strips in the order that I'm going to be sewing them in. So what I did is I took a look at my original one of the red, black, red, white. So red, black, red, white. And that's how I'm doing them. So let me move. Let's move it right there. I'm actually going to take these and lay them out. Perfect. Out just like that. You can also fold them in half, but if you have a long enough table, just toss them out there. That's just easier. And I know this is how I want to sew them. So I'm actually going to take the black piece and the red piece. So it's like this. I'm just going to take this, fold it over just like that, and sew it. And again, I'm still not using any pins. Now, in this case, as I go to sew, my black piece is a little bit longer than the red. And here, so what I'm going to do whenever I line it up, I'm going to line it up just like this, so that black piece is sticking out, and I'm going to be sewing it right here. If you do this correctly, your seams, if you iron them to one side like I do, your seams will actually line up. They'll nest in there quite nicely. And now going to sew all these together. Let's check my tension. Okay, I'm good. Now, I'm going to show you again. I showed you at the beginning of the stream, but I'll show again for anyone that's joined since. Whenever I'm sewing strips, it's easy. This is the way you want to hold it. You want to take your pointer finger, stick it between the two strips that you're sewing, take your thumb, put it on top, and take the other fingers and put it on the bottom. So it's going to look just like this. As I'm sewing, I'm going to be able to move that top fabric back and forth and able to make sure it perfectly lines up. And then that way, I don't have to constantly stop the machine in order to make sure the fabrics are lined up. And you do not need any pins when you are stripping. And yes, that's what it's called. I'm stripping right now. I'm going to do this for all 12. Like, seriously, this whole stream is just going to be stripping. Eleanor Burns from Quilt in a Day. One of the names of one of her books is Still Stripping After 25 Years. Because stripping is one of the very simple, basic forms of quilting, where if you just want something easy, something fast, you do a strip quilt. And there's so many different ways to do strip quilts depending upon how you cut those combined strips. A good example is the Quilt in a Day. It's a day and night quilt that pops up on the finished quilts. It looks like it's almost like a starburst. It's a black, red, and tan quilt. If I see it, I'll point it out. That is a Quilt in a Day pattern. It's called Day and Night, and that's made by stripping. So all you're doing is you're combining a bunch of strips, and then using her special ruler, you then cut it certain ways in order to get the design that you can then combine. I don't remember where I put it in the order. There it is, right there. So that was the day and night. So that actually is made by stripping. So that's a very simple pattern. It looks complicated, but it's not. It's actually a very, very simple pattern. And that's something else if you want to do a strip quilt, but you don't want strips. You want to cut it something else. That's a good one to do. Surprisingly, I have never made a log cabin quilt. Whenever you think about strips and stripping, the log cabin is normally what comes to everyone's minds because it's a very cool quilt that uses stripping. And again, bobbin running out for this doesn't make a difference. Does not bother me or faze me. I just keep on going. Unlike with quilting, when the bobbin runs out, there's a head desk. So next week, I haven't talked about my future streams yet. I may have a stream tomorrow for setup for Colorado. I don't know. It all depends on how busy it is there. Am I able to set the camera up without anyone knocking it over? Because you gotta think about the space, right? So I may or may not stream tomorrow. If I stream, it will be, let's see, I'm unloading at noon. Probably, my stream will start between 1 and 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if I'm able to stream tomorrow. And then I may or may not do an IRL stream at the con, just to show you some of the stuff. They've got a cool video game room. I may go and check it out a little bit. They've got a nice tabletop room. Yeah, they do a bunch of different things there. It's pretty cool. And then next week, well, next week I have a very busy, interesting week. Monday, I need to go to my husband's softball game. So this is all in the evening, right? I've got to go to his softball game because I'm not going to be able to see another game with that team for a few weeks. I always go to Tuesday's games. And next Tuesday is going to be family night, meaning we get hot dogs and all sorts of really cool things. Wednesday, Jordan's rugby game is in Niagara Falls. That's 2 hours away from me. So, yeah. Rugby. 2 hours away. And then Thursday, I really want to go to his game on Thursday, but I may skip it so I can do an evening stream. But I like doing the Thursday afternoon streams, like I'm doing today and like I did last Thursday. So, I'm thinking of doing a Tuesday, Thursday daytime, and then Friday evening. And then I may stream Saturday and Sunday, depending on, because Mike is in a softball tournament next weekend. So depending upon when his games are, I may stream Saturday and or Sunday. I'm going to try to do at least one, if not both. But I don't know times yet. So what I'll probably do is I'll decide on my stream schedule by tomorrow, for at least Monday through Friday, and I'll post that. And then I'll make a decision Saturday and Sunday, probably either Thursday or Friday, whenever I get his tournament schedule. I was just making sure my chat didn't freeze because nothing has been in chat since Cornish Miss Saucy said that I had a demon look on my face. Decide to start streaming while I play Splatoon or any other Switch games, I'll try to decide before I go to Gen Con. sure my stream health is good. And it is. Just in case if there's any streaming issues like dropping, freezing, things like that, it's not on my end. Three more, I think. So I made 12 of these because then once I combine them together, I'll have 6 strips to then cut. I try to do it at least 2 or 3 at a time. So I figure 6 is a good number. Yeah, I know this stream is super boring. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more left. I will not stream again while I do this. Because I know I'm not going to finish the blocks this stream. It's going to be a while. But I'm not going to stream this again of how to make the blocks. I'll just finish them on my own time. But then when it's time to assemble the blocks together, I'll make sure I stream again to show you how I assemble them together, what I do, how I do it. Yeah, the cat changed positions. Making sure it didn't drop onto the floor and get any hair on it. Two more after this. And then I get to iron, and then sew them together again. But at least that time, there's only going to be 6 total to sew. That's the nice thing about this quilt, is that the farther along you get with the strips, the less and less there is to sew, because you're having it every time. So you figured I started out with 48 strips, and then now I have 24 that I'm sewing 12 into 12, then I'll have 12 that I'm sewing into 6, and then from that point I'll cut the blocks. And for these, I did the scalloped edges. I made sure I sewed the scalloped edges in the first time around. So this time, I don't have to worry about it. I was going to make sure that they line up. And then as I put the strips into my machine, I do a quick double check to make sure that the strip ahead of me has red and white on the top with the red facing inwards, and that's what I've got in this case. Alright, let's check this tension. Okay, tension's still good. Now, as I'm sewing my strips, these strips are not lining up perfectly, so I line them up at the top to make sure, at least from one side, they line up nicely. These bottoms are not lining up at all, and you will see that really whenever I start cutting the blocks, you'll see that, oh yeah, there's no way that these strips line up. One of my hairs, it won't go away. There we go, I'll put my finger back in there. Alright, I've started I've finished the next pass. So let's put that scrap in there. And let's cut all of these strips. Now I have all four of my colors all sewn together. Now at this point you could stop your strips. You can sew them together like I have. What I did at this point when I was initially designing it is I looked at the 4 strips and I said, okay, do I want to stop it right there? And if I stop it right there, then I would make a square and cut it right here. Do I want my blocks to be that small? And I went, no. Blocks that small are a little bit too much work. Let's make bigger blocks. So that's why I stopped it there. I actually have to iron it this way if I want my seams to all go in the same direction. And I do. I like it when my seams all point in the same direction. Oops. It's got a little wonky there. There we go. You have to be careful whenever you are ironing your seams. You don't want to stretch your fabric. They actually call it pressing instead of ironing. Because if you iron with a back and forth motion, you actually may stretch your fabric out, and you do not want to do that. Now they actually say, do this first to lock your seam into place, and then iron it open. I tend to skip that step a lot though. And I really like using this jelly roll with the different blacks and whites, because then every single black piece and every single white piece is a different fabric. And it just gives it more character. should have 12 of these. You may notice when I'm ironing this, I'm actually opening it up with my left hand ahead of the iron. And all that's doing is just saving me some time. And I don't have to worry about that iron folding over any of the fabric. After I finish sewing strips to one another and then cutting my blocks, I call it a stream. I'm not going to bore you by cutting and sewing together more strips. I almost didn't stream this quilt, but then I was like, no, this is a super easy, nice quilt to do. So it's a really good one for beginners. Capture card. See, I knew it would come to me eventually. That's what I need in order to stream from the Switch. It's called a capture card. I knew it would come to me eventually. And yes, I'm doing my laundry for the weekend. So you hear the dryer every now and then telling me that, hey, come on, clothes are done. Come get them. Two more. Now, am I the first person to do something like this with a design? No. Even whenever I start to assemble it, I am sure there's plenty of other quilts out there with the same exact layout that I'm going to choose. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet, but I can tell you they're out there. Because this is just a basic, simple stripping quilt. There we go. We got 12. So, now, I'm just going to lay them all out because all I'm doing is picking up two, taking my top one, flipping it over top of the other one, and sewing them together. And I should have 6 of these. Taking my scissors and then I can't find them. My strips keep slipping on me and getting caught. Because I have all of these seams, because they're smaller strips, a little harder the more you sew together. I think there's 3 more sets to do after this. And then I'll iron them and cut them. You can see the actual blocks. This is all I'm doing for sewing together. So I'm not going to be sewing together any more strips. After these sets are done, that is all I am doing. Because I decided that, you know what, I like that width. That then dictates to me how long I cut them. Now, could you do a quilt with just strips all the way down? Sure. Why not? You don't have to cut them. You're going to sew a whole bunch of strips together. Cut the salvages off. Quilt and bind it. And there you go. There is a true strip quilt. That you can do in probably a couple hours. At least in a day. I had to get all fancy and make it complicated and actually want to cut it into blocks and do patterns and it's just got to be all fancy. One more after this. Dogs are barking. There must be a dog walking in front of the house. We know that's not allowed. We took Marley and Alfred to Jordan's rugby game last night. They had so much fun. There were a lot of people that brought their dogs to the rugby game. So the dogs are all playing with everyone, running everywhere, and yeah, they had a really good time. Oh, did I say your name, honey? Did I say your name? Hi, where's you sweeping? Where's you sleeping? Really? Okay, come here. Oh, I'm trying to figure out a way for the puppy cam to go on Alfred. Thank you. But he doesn't stay in one place like Hestia does. Hestia tends to just stay right there, so I can have a kitty cam on her. No, I know, baby. Do you want to say hi to the camera? Hi, thank you. You know how to get some love, don't you? Okay. You want to sit right there and watch me? Here, let's turn this and move the... Oh, wait, no, we can't do that. There we go. You want to sit right there and watch me? I love you. I love you. I do. Or better yet, do you want me to put something... Oh, I don't want to do that because that's a hot iron. I'm trying to think of a puppy cam that I can do now that he's awake. I know, you're such a good boy. All right, let me get your bed and figure something out. Do I have your bed? I do. Because I am done sewing for now. I just need to iron and cut. Oh, there you go. Now I've got a good puppy cam. Aren't you my good boy? Can I have kisses? Oh, you want me to rub the belly? Is that what you want? He loves his chest rub. This is his favorite thing in the world. Just getting the chest rubbed. You are. Okay, where is my... There we go. Gotta get all the dog hair off before I start ironing and cutting. There we go. Okay, so... I think I have to sneeze. Okay. For ironing these, I've got, in order to iron them so the seams are all facing the same direction, I'm going to iron it up. Now, let me show you how I figure this out. So whenever you have strips, you notice how the seams are all facing down? So that tells me if I iron it like this, and I open it this way, the seam is going to go up, which is the direction that all those seams are facing. So that's how you can tell if you have ironed some strips together and you've already ironed the seam a certain direction. If you want to keep all of the seams in the same direction, the side that is facing you when it's down on the ironing board, the seam should be facing down. Okay, and there are 6 of these for me to iron. And then I can start cutting blocks. You guys see what he's doing, right? Hi, are you trying to get attention from me? I know. I love you. I know. You just want your belly rubbed. You just want the chest rubbed. Yeah, I know. You're such a good boy. I gotta make sure I don't have any hair on me. don't know if the new babies are allergic to dog hair or not. I can't have any hair on me. Can't have any hair on the fabric. Nope. I can't. And as soon as my stream stops and I put your bed back on the ground, I gotta clean the desk because I put your bed on there. I do. Oops. Let me move that. I just want to refresh this. Huh. It says, that's really weird. I wonder if Twitch is having issues. Because it says that I haven't dropped any frames, but it is stopping, freezing. It's freezing on my screen for me watching it. There we go. I just reloaded it. Just to make sure that I'm not missing any chat. Hi. When we first got Alfred, almost 2 years ago, he used to come down with me every day because he didn't want to be separated from me. Now, he stays upstairs most of the time, unless there's a reason to come down. Like, he wants a TRAT, or it's maybe too warm upstairs, and it's cooler down here. Stuff like that. There we go. I have all of my strips done. So I'm going to lay them right there and just take them one at a time. Now, normally, whenever you see me cut fabric, I will stack it on top of each other to be more efficient. I don't for these, just because I want to make sure that my cuts are good and I have nice even blocks. So my blocks are, I believe I said 5.5 inches. No, 6. Oh, the 5.5 is finished with considering seams, so the finish would be 5.5. So 6 inches. So they are 6-inch blocks. Let me flip them this way. That way I've got that. So first thing I want to do is cut off the edge. So you see here, my edges, remember I said that my edges were not going to all be the same? Perfectly fine. At this point, I now need to trim it. And now from here, I'm going to cut 6 inches. Oh, you know what? I think my stripology ruler, yeah, I'm going to use my stripology ruler. Now, the only thing with here, I've got to make sure that everything's perfectly straight. There you go. Okay, 6 inches. Oh. That's not going to work. Alright, let me do there. Finish blocks. So that's stacks of 10. That's not. There we are. Okay, every 6. So 6, 12, 18. Okay, there were 4 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. square this up again. 8, 9, 10. So that is trash. Okay, I now have 10. So I'm going to stack it. Now, whenever I stack my 10s, this is how I normally do it. Is I put one stack down, and then I take another stack and I tilt it. And then that way I can quickly count my stacks of 10s and go 10, 20, 30, 40, etc., etc. So it's a lot easier. And then let me just do I have another 6 out of here? Yes, I do. Let's make sure there's no selvages on there. Fantastic, I got another one. So there's one. Next. Now, if I can't get as many blocks out of each strip, it's not a big deal. I'll just get as many blocks as I can. Now, whenever I line these up, my fabrics, some of them stretched, some of them didn't. So I'm kind of angling it as an average. So I'm not going by one of the strips. I'm going by most of them. So 6, 12, 18. That's trash. Okay, so that's 4 strips. Okay, let's square this up again. 6, 12, 18. Now you notice how this is going a little faster than if I was using my regular ruler. That's why I like it. Okay, there's 7. And then the last one to finish it off. 8. Okay, I've got 8 blocks up there now. Next. Move this down a little bit. That's the only thing with the Stripology ruler, is that I need enough space to use it. Okay, 6, 12, 18. So that, I believe, was 8. So I'm going to count it again just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there's 9, 10. So now I have 30 blocks. Now, let's turn that one a little bit more. Make it more pronounced. Okay, then there's 1. Six, 12, 18. Okay, there's 4 blocks. 5 blocks. And I believe I'm getting 7 blocks out of each strip. 6, 12, 18. I missed the trash can on that one. All right, so I said I had 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's already squared up. Fantastic. 9, 10. How many more do I have? I have 2 more? Yep, only 2 more to go. And then that'll give me a general idea of, do I then do another 12 strips of each color, or do I, cut it down? I think the most I would do is 12 strips of each color. If I do anything more than that, I'd start to bore myself. Because I need a little bit of a change between doing things. There's 2 here, right? Yep. So that's 5. Eight. 9. And you know what? I don't need that red thread, that red fabric. I had that red fabric out just in case. I don't need it. In case I didn't have enough of these 2 reds. So 10, 20, 30, 40. I have 50 blocks. 1, 2. And I should get 4 more out of here. So that'd be 6. So I've got 56 blocks. So yeah, definitely need another 12 of each. Thank you very much, Iron Bands Graham. I see that you're hosting me. I appreciate it. Thank you. There we are. There. Oh, nope. I don't want to put that. That's right. I want to keep these separate because it's not a full 10. All right. So I've got 56 blocks total. So that tells me that the next set, I definitely want to cut 12 strips of each in order to get it done. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I think that'll be a good starting place for me for later. So if you missed me cutting the strips earlier, you can see what I'm doing. I am going to put it in here though. So I've got finished blocks, and then I need 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I am only going to cut enough for 12. So did I say 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six. And I'm cutting these 1 1/4. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Okay, so I've got those. So it'll be the red and then the black. So I'm going to take this red and set it aside. Oops. Left one there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Making sure. Okay, now let's cut some of these. Now I'm going to take 6 of these, because remember I'm cutting these in half, and they're 2.5 inches a piece. And so I'm going to pick them up and then fold them on top of each other. So there's 2. 4. 6. 8. 10. 12. Still got my nice little stack of black. Okay, and let's make sure that they are perfectly lined up and enough space between them that I can just do them almost all at once. I'll just go right down the line like an assembly line. There we go. So again, these are 2 1/2. I'm cutting them in half, so I'm going to do 1 1/4. So 1 1/4, and I'm not counting this scalloped edge. I'm going just on the inside of the scalloped edge. I'll show you a close-up again, just to remind you that I have a scalloped edge on there. Oops, that would not have been a straight cut. There we go. Here. And that is 12 strips. So I've got the black, the red, the black. Now I need red again. So we're going to take these, and I've got 1, 2, 3. So let's cut enough to give me 12. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. This red's going to go on top of this red. And then all this black's going to go on top as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. There's just enough space for the white. Great. All right, how many whites do we have? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 more of the whites. And let me do this little one that's all the way out and its lonesome little self with the stars. Okay, so I need 4 more strips and that'll give me 8 more. Three, 4. Okay. Those can now go over there with that. And let me separate them enough. Make sure that they're perfectly straight. There we go, and I have 12 white strips. So now I have set myself up so it's all ready to go. So I have all of my strips ready. I have my blocks that aren't quite there, and I have my blocks of 10. So I have 56 blocks, and I've got my pins just in case I need them. So I can now take this, and I'll move it over so you guys can see it in the camera. I can take my fabrics, put them right on top. So this is my project. So I can take this, set it aside, and then pull it out again and work on it the next time I want to work on it. Yeah, which may not be for at least a week or so. Whenever I have extra time. Hi. Oh, hello. Are you my baby boy? You are. Okay, come here. Let's cuddle while I talk. Oh, my baby. Oh, and I gotta clean all of this. Make sure there's no dog hair up there anymore. No, before I put my machine back. That's why I took my machine down before I put his bed up there, so the hair doesn't go on into the thread on the machine at all. So, yeah, so thank you. So first, let me see if I can do a heart. Oh, I love you. Thank you for the hosts, and thank you, Razor Dawn, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. I may or may not be back tomorrow for the setup stream for Con Bravo, and I may or may not do any IRL streams while I'm at Con Bravo. I will definitely be back one day next week, either Monday or Tuesday for a stream. I'll decide by tomorrow. I'll put it up there so you guys can know whenever I'm doing my next one. And as always, this will be up on YouTube today or tomorrow. I'm trying to get up the same day. That way they're there in case you missed it or you want to go back and rewatch. So, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys later.